What is going on, everyone? It is Z Money here, back with another video, and Dad is alongside with me again. Today we have episode 2 of Zach and Dad's college football predictions. We skipped week 2 last week. We did Purdue versus Vanderbilt specific predictions for the season premiere of Z Money Purdue Football in Stadium Vlogs. But before we get into our selections for week 3, we will go over the points for week 1 and the Purdue versus Vanderbilt specific predictions. So, if you guys are unaware of the point system, if you correctly pick a winner, you get 20 points. If you make an additional prediction along with your winner, that is another additional 10 points. And if you pick an upset that has a point spread over 5 points, you'll get 50 additional points along with your 20 points for a win. So, Dad, last week your correct picks were Clemson, Utah, Colorado, Oklahoma, Stanford, Bama, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Notre Dame. And you also got your additional prediction for Notre Dame to cover. And you got 2 predictions right from Purdue versus Vanderbilt. Your correct picks from there were Purdue to score over 30 points and for Purdue to win the game. So, your score going into week 3 is 220 points.
Not bad.
Let's get into my correct picks. My correct picks were Clemson, Utah, Colorado, Oklahoma State, Stanford, Bama, Tua with 4 touchdowns, so that'll give me another additional 10 points. Georgia, Oklahoma, Jalen Hurts with 3 passing touchdowns, Notre Dame to cover, and I also got Purdue to score over 30 points and for Purdue to win. So my score going into week 3 is 250 points.
Close race.
It is a very close race. Now I gotta get back to my sheet for this week. And now it is time for us to get into our selections for week 3. Now, I'm going to keep the list narrowed. Last week we had 10 games. This week we have, I believe, either 7 or 8. But let's get into a game on Friday, Dad. North Carolina at Wake Forest. The Demon Deacons are favored by 3 points. I'm going to start. I have North Carolina winning. North Carolina has looked really impressive with wins over South Carolina and Miami. And North Carolina has their true freshman running back who's looked really calm and relaxed in fourth quarter situations. Dad, who do you got?
I'm going to go with Wake Forest, the Demon
Really?
Deacons. At home. North Carolina playing well right now.
This game is under the lights, by the way.
Yeah, Friday night. North Carolina playing well. However, I think Wake Forest gets the big win at home.
Okay. That was the only game on Friday that we will pick, so let's move into Saturday. In Beaver Stadium, Pitt at Penn State. The Nittany Lions are favored by 17 points. I'm gonna stay with the Power 5. They're both Power 5. What am I thinking? I'm gonna stay with the Big Ten and go with Penn State. They lose Trace McSorley, but they've looked really good in their games prior to this one against Pitt. Penn State favored by 17. I'm going with the Nittany Lions in the whiteout. Dad, who do you got?
I'm going to stay with the Nittany Lions as well. A little bit of a tougher test than they've had the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, you played Idaho last time.
But it's a rivalry game. Going to stay with Penn State. I think they cover the 17.
Let's move into our next game. Alabama, they're favored by 25.5. They're traveling to South Carolina. South Carolina is a pretty tough place to play, but I'm going to stay with the Tide. I think Tua is going to have to step up in this game. I think he throws again for at least 4 touchdowns. Dad, who you got?
Bama. Nothing more to say but Bama.
Let's move into the next game. Arizona State is traveling to East Lansing to take on Mark D'Antonio's Michigan State Spartans. They're favored by 15. Tell you what, Michigan State has a really good defense this year. It's probably one of Mark D'Antonio's best from the past. And I'm going to stay with Sparty.
It's a revenge game for Michigan State. Last year they went out to the desert, lost to
lost.
Arizona State. Michigan State, revenge on their mind. Going with Michigan State.
Let's get to the next one. This is going to be a big one in the SEC. The Florida Gators are traveling to Lexington to take on the Kentucky Wildcats. The Gators are favored by 8.5. I'm going to take Florida. Felipe Franks has to have a good game in this one. The Wildcats, they lose Josh Allen and the running back. Thanks to him, he told me. And I think Florida is going to step up and win this game.
I would agree. Florida says it's not a revenge game. Kentucky went down to Gainesville last year. Benny Snell carried the offense and beat Florida for the first time in 31 years. I think Florida starts another streak. It could be 30 years again before Kentucky beats the Gators.
Now this is another interesting one. As we know, Clemson has a really tough time playing in the Carrier Dome, and Clemson is traveling to play at Syracuse. They're favored by 27.5. Clemson, they have a tough time playing in the Carrier Dome, like I said about 5 seconds ago, but I think they'll hang on and win this game against the Orange.
Clemson wins. I suspect they'll be a little more focused than they were 2 years ago. Clemson had to pull it out at the end at Syracuse. Not quite sure if they cover. That's a lot of points in conference. Clemson wins. I think they're ready to play.
I also think Travis Etienne's going to have a good game. Clemson's running back. I think he scores 2 touchdowns. Dad, you got an additional one for Clemson and Syracuse?
I think Trevor Lawrence throws for 300 and possibly 4 touchdowns.
Let's move into the next game. Florida State at Virginia. Willie Taggart and the Noles have been struggling early on as they lost at home against Boise State, and they won in overtime after Louisiana Monroe kicker shanked an extra point. I think Virginia wins this. They cover the 7.5 against Florida State. I know that might be a little bit of a stretch, but Willie Taggart and the Noles, I don't think they're going to be ready for this game at Virginia. Dad, who do you got?
Well, Florida State goes on the road. First road game of the year. Could be a good thing. Get out of Tallahassee. Get away from the noise. Focus on the road. However, Florida State is struggling. Going to go with Virginia here on a late field goal. They beat Florida State. However, they do not cover the spread.
Okay. And now our last game on my list, which is going to be the College Game Day week this Saturday. And a little bit of a fact here. This is the first time that College Game Day will be traveling to Ames, Iowa for the Cy-Hawk Trophy game. Iowa at Iowa State. The Hawks are favored by 2. Listen, Ames is a really tough place to play, Dad. But Iowa State looked absolutely awful against Northern Iowa. It took them 3 overtimes to beat them. But they've had 2 weeks to prepare. I still think Iowa wins. Nathan Stanley returns for the Hawkeyes this season. And I think Iowa is going to pull it off in Ames.
You are correct that playing at Iowa State in Ames, Iowa is very difficult. Many teams have gone to Ames and had their seasons derailed. I'm going Iowa State here. Ooh. 2 weeks to prepare. Pull the upset. Iowa goes home trying to figure out what happened in Ames, Iowa.
Well, that concludes our list. Stay tuned for another vlog as the Purdue Boilermakers take on the TCU Horned Frogs this week under the lights in West Lafayette. That's it for our predictions this week. We'll see you guys when we get to week 4. Peace.